They don't want what we know out there.
How a person can go from really almost nothing to becoming a millionaire by owning rental properties.
He would always buy these flip houses, and I just remember thinking, this guy is crazy. Why would he buy that house?
In the past decade, there's been a huge surge in the peer-to-peer short-term rental market.
Become an insider. So you have to know the rules before you get the game.
Every second counts. So make every second count.
Welcome to the Real Estate Jam. Whether you're just beginning or the best of the best, we're glad you're here. We will share successes, failures, and strategies for the action-taking real estate investor. And now to your hosts, JD and Melissa.
Hey guys, welcome to the Real Estate Jam podcast. I'm JD with my wonderful co-host.
Hello, JD.
Melissa. And we're excited. One of the things that we've recently started exploring in our own business is digital marketing, pay-per-click ads, and all of that kind of stuff. So I'm super excited to have Andrew Pawlak on today. He is a lead gen expert, a digital lead gen expert. He's the co-founder and CEO of leadpops.com, and he's going to drop a lot of knowledge on us. I'm going to use it as a personal coaching call. So I hope you guys can get some value out of it too. Andrew, thanks for coming on the show, man.
JD and Melissa, thank you for having me. Excited to be here. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. I've been doing this for 18 years now, so I'm confident I can answer most questions. At this point, you hope to be good at what you're doing.
That's right.
Happy to be here.
And I just want to say this. I feel like I have a lot of Farrah Fawcett going on right now compared to you guys. Just FYI.
A lot of Farrah Fawcett?
Yeah, a lot of hair.
Well, you gotta at least make the anyone that's watching the video, it looks a lot better than it would be if it was just me and JD, right? So appreciate having you. There's something that's helping the visual element of the show. Thank you for that.
But I bet we save a lot on hair care.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And time, a lot of time. Well,
that's true, too.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Andrew, can you maybe give us a brief background of where you came from, how it got started, and maybe help our audience understand why they should be listening to you in regards to digital marketing and lead gen.
Yeah, absolutely. So started out when I was 19, didn't go to college, really educated parents were not happy about that. Dad said, if you want to make something of yourself, you better get into sales. I was working at Blockbuster Video at the time. This was like 2004 and I hated it. And I was like, dude, I better figure something out. I don't want to go to school. So I got a sales job selling real estate websites to realtors. And I'm cold calling real estate agents. I have no idea what realtors really do. I don't know what cold calling is, yet I'm on the phone making 200 dials a day. I sold golf balls when I was 7. It was pretty good at that, but that was my sales experience. But I took it really seriously. The company had over 100 salespeople. Within 6 months, I was number 1 at that company. They'd never hired someone that wasn't in college before. I was really focused on proving it to myself, proving it to my family that, hey, I could do this in a different kind of way. Got good at sales, really liked it. Was really interested in the product side of what I was selling. And I thought the product I was selling could be a whole lot better than it was. So it took me down a journey of starting a couple companies. So 2 years after that first job, I co-founded my first company. We did mortgage websites, working with mortgage originators, loan officers, mortgage brokers. That was a rather successful venture. We got profitable pretty quickly. A few things in the universe lined up where we had a pretty solid sales team join us. I quickly realized that leads matter a lot to our clients. I'd learned that early on, that what's the point of a website? What's the point of pay-per-click, SEO, all this stuff to drive traffic? If you're not converting clicks into leads, it's not going to do you any good. Those clicks need to be conversations. You need relationships. You got to convert those people. So got really interested in lead conversion and had this idea for a company that would specialize in specifically creating solutions to make sure if you're getting traffic, you're converting that traffic into leads, website plugins, ways to optimize pay-per-click, SEO. I got this idea from a couple really big players that were doing it, and they seemed to be the only 2 companies doing it at the time. This was in 2009. Company a lot of people know about called Lending Tree. All they do is sell leads. So they drive you to their site. They spend a whole crazy amount of money on advertising because once you get to their site, they're very good at convincing you to give them your information. So they sell that as a lead. I saw this process that they use and I thought that makes a lot of sense. Why is nobody else doing it that way? Another company around that time had sold for $330 million. And all they did was a very similar kind of approach. It's a company called Lower My Bills. They actually got bought recently by Quicken Loans. Really smart lead generation strategy. Nobody else was doing it that way. And I thought that should be a product. So launched Lead Pops in 2011 on LegalZoom. Started cold calling loan officers. Nobody knew what the hell I was talking about. I realized quickly that I'm going to have to go work for somebody if I don't pivot and like go for somebody bigger who could really understand what I'm trying to add value in. And Zillow actually agreed to do a test with us. And they said, hey, that's a pretty good idea. We'll plug you into a couple of our key advertisers on what they call their mortgage marketplace. Mm-hmm. We blew their conversion rates out of the water. We literally double, triple, and quadrupled their click to lead conversion rate, depending on where Zillow was plugging us in. So we were the actual original creators of what Zillow calls their long form leads. That was our like first claim to fame, the biggest feather in our cap up till that point. It was a big one, but Zillow being Zillow, kind of a cutthroat company, after about a year, they said, hey, it's pretty cool, kid. We like it. Thanks. We're just going to build this ourselves. So the highest high you can get as a little startup, calling people out of my kitchen table, and then all of a sudden you're back to square one. But the beauty of Zillow didn't introduce a competing product. They just took what we had built for them and built it into their own website. They did not create a product for real estate agents, for loan officers, for insurance agents to do that themselves. So it was kind of back to the starting block, ended up partnering with another big company called Bankrate, got to show them what we did for Zillow. Bankrate was a really successful relationship. They spent about $250,000 with us to develop all their lead generation solutions between 2014 and 2017. That was the kickoff to us creating a real SaaS product. I wrote the book on mortgage marketing. It's a 300-page book, so I can claim that. It's a lot of really good information in here. So anyone in the mortgage or real estate space, it's all applicable to either of those. And since then, the company has finally, in around 2018, I think the dam started to break. A lot of struggle to get to that point, but landed a couple of big partnerships. At this point, we've got about 3,000 clients across the country. Some of the biggest mortgage companies in the country are clients of ours. We're actually joining a program run by the National Association of Realtors this year called their REACH program to help us expand into real estate. And it's been a wild ride. Went from a couple employees to now we've got 75 all over the country. We've been on the Inc. 5000 list. We're supposed to be on that list again this year. So things are starting to hit. My little overnight success story, 12 years in the making, is finally becoming something. But
right, yeah, it just took you 12 years to get to tonight.
That's super cool.
Yeah, that is awesome. One, I think it's a great entrepreneurial story, right? You have some successes, you get a setback, you have some more successes. There's probably some more setbacks in there that you didn't mention. I'm sure there's been times where the bills weren't getting paid, and now there's too much money to, you don't know what to do with it. But I think it's great, and across all businesses, those are kind of common stories. The people that succeed are the ones that continue to go forward. One of the things you said early on in your introduction was the leads are so important to the clients. And I think we've been experiencing or experimenting with digital marketing now. And everybody that we talk to wants to tell me about impressions and how important impressions are. Now, I don't know if an impression is important or not, but what I know is it's not a lead and it's not putting money in our pocket. So I'm hoping that maybe you can help me understand why these other companies are pushing me on how many impressions they have versus the things that I care about, which is leads, the actual leads, people converting on our website or converting on our Facebook forums or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And without knowing these companies and what their philosophy is on this stuff, I would guess that impressions are easy to get. I mean, people can see you. I can just show up in your Facebook feed without spending a whole lot of money. I can just randomly show up with a banner ad. Like every time someone sees you, that's an impression. That's not even a click. That's right. An impression leads to a click, ideally, if that was an impactful impression. If the impression was compelling, if I'm the right audience, you're going to get me to click. So that click is the first, step to something real happening. The impression is, hey, they saw you. If I'm trying to show a listing, a potential seller in a listing presentation, how much exposure I'm going to get their house, I could use impressions. I could say, hey, check this out. We run an ad. We're going to get you seen at least 40,000 times your first week live with us. Those are eyeballs. Guess what those eyeballs are? These are potential buyers. The more impressions, the more buyers that see your house, the more offers we're going to get, the more, more quickly, all the wonderful things you could use that in your positioning and in your selling strategy. But again, I can't sell a house to an impression. I can't sell a house to a click. I got to get that person to click. Once they click, we've got something more substantial to work with. And if we got them to click on a website, ideally now they're on your stuff, which is where we want to take them. We want them off the distractions and all the stuff that's not within your control. I want to get them to see us, click on us. Now I've got them on a website that's our own site. That's nothing but our stuff. No matter what they fill out, what they do, it's coming to us. That's great. But there's a whole strategy then in terms of how do you convert that click into an actual potential customer? How do you convince that person that clicked to give us their name, email, phone number, and give us something tangible to work with so that we can talk to them, we can create a relationship, we can ask them more questions, all these wonderful things that we know we want to do as salespeople to build a relationship, to build rapport. That's what I look at. Impressions are nice. You need them. If they don't see you, you're never going to get a lead, but you got to take it further, So now we got them to click. Great. Now what are we going to do with the click? We can't sell houses to clicks either. So now we got to convert the clicks into leads. And that's where I really focus, but the whole path to get to there is important, but I wouldn't be talking about impressions like it's the end all be all. It's like the first step of a sequence of events that has to happen in order for that conversion to take place. That conversion is what I prize. And then ultimately the conversion, the lead turning into a sale. Like even then, like, hey, now we got to take it a step further. Leads are great, but how good are these leads? I'd rather get 10 good leads than 100 leads that are, 90 of them are crap. And I had to dig through those 100 to get to the 10 good ones. So how do we understand which ones are the best ones and have some way of ranking and scoring leads that help us understand which ones are the best opportunities to focus on?
Yeah, I think that's a huge point. It's only they're offering a 10% solution to a problem that every real estate investor, every real estate agent experiences.
Can I throw this out there? Can I answer a little bit deeper on that question? I think it's important. If a company's charged and tasked with, hey, we're going to get people to find you and see you, we're going to help increase your visibility, but they don't own the other elements or have any consulting or any say in what else is happening, the lead coming in is kind of out of their control. It's like, hey, I can get you clicks, I can get people to see you, but if I'm not able to then optimize that experience for conversion, it's not my fault if some like X company built your site. I can't touch it. I have no access to make changes that I think are necessary there. You want me to help you get more business? That website's kind of off limits. So I can get you seen, I can get you found, I can get you clicks, but because that experience that you're driving people to is not optimized for conversion, I'm not going to take responsibility for what happens when those clicks don't turn into anything. So there's this whole piece that anyone that's looking at helping you be successful has to examine all of these layers. There's too many people that will look at one part. They're like, hey, I'm out. I did what I had to do, but it's like, the ultimate goal is to get leads that are going to turn into paying customers. And if you're just looking at this one metric or this one area of focus and the other stuff is not optimized, what's the point of this over here then?
Yeah.
So
you can have the perfect ad, but if you have a crap product, nobody's going to buy it. Well, somebody will.
Absolutely. Yeah. Right. But is it the right type of customer and all that kind of stuff that happens? But yeah, absolutely.
One of the things that you mentioned too, in regards to having like the long form where they're putting in the 20 different data points, I think that's really great because what you're doing is for my lead intake people, you are like self-eliminating or self-qualifying so that by the time somebody gets through all of those different data points and it actually starts talking to a real person, they either really want your product or really want to sell their house, really want to buy the house, whatever the lead is. And I think that's important. How do you know when you're building that out? How do you know when there's too much versus not enough? I feel like there's definitely a balance game, right? I can get 100 leads if it's just an email address because everyone has a spam email address. But when you start getting phone numbers and all of those other things, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, all that stuff, and they take the time to fill it out, I'm just not sure how you tell the difference between when is enough and when is too much.
Yeah, that's another really good question. So there's a sweet spot. There absolutely is, because too few questions, you get the Batman, Bart Simpson fake phone number, just junk comes through. Too many questions for obvious reasons. People are like, all right, I'm out. This is just this never ending experience, right? So a sweet spot that we found is anywhere from like 12 to 20 questions. Okay, we did a lot of testing on this between Zillow and Bankrate, like millions of consumers coming through to kind of figure out where is that sweet spot. There's other things that come into play. Like that is not a, hey, that's the answer to everything. Sure. Different campaigns, different devices, different times of day, different random things that will affect your conversion rate will come into play. But overall, that's kind of the sweet spot in terms of how many questions to ask. And there's a psychology in terms of how you present the questions. Like that matters a whole lot. Like if I ask you 20 questions and it's all one long scrolling form and you start out with, give me your name, email, phone number, I'm going for the jugular. First questions I ask are things you don't want to give me. And there's red asterisks. And then there's a riddle at the bottom. I got to solve this little riddle. I can't even read the damn thing. And it's telling me to like figure out the code. You're putting up an obstacle course for people. Like, wow, for them if they got through that process. So what we want to do is create this question and answer sequence that makes sense. It's kind of fun. It's gamified. They feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel. They're getting rewarded with every question that they answer. We only ask one question at a time. They see the light at the end of the tunnel as they go in terms of a progress bar that kind of follows lots of little things that add up to helping that person kind of go through that sequence of questions. Even the fill in the blanks, you try to avoid those. Like, hey, let me give you a drop down menu. Let me give you a slider so you can answer the question without even having to take your hand off the mouse, or you can do it right on the screen of your phone without having to fill in the blanks. And it gives us cleaner data, gives us more data. And then again, it gives us more to work with. If I know that you have X amount of money down and your household income's $200,000 a year, I'm probably going to try a little bit harder in terms of my follow-up and how many times I call, and probably who I route that lead to on my team, who's a better salesperson than the no money down, low income type of opportunity. I'm still going to help that person, obviously, or try my best to help them. But if I get 3 leads at the same time, I know which one I'm going to call first and put a little bit more effort into. So some different ways that you can look at how to use that data to structure your follow-up, to send more personalized communications instead of everybody goes into my same drip sequence and I talk to you all the same. It doesn't matter if you're a first-time home buyer or a seasoned investor. I'm going to just put you in my little drip, and my drip sends everybody the same follow-up campaigns. Like different ways that now that I know that about you, you go in this bucket. My text message, my email drip that goes out, it specifically talks to you this way versus this one, and having a really more customized experience in terms of how you do that follow-up, which is absolutely critical. Like the leads are cool. If you're not following up on time, if you're not saying the right things, then you're going to close less of the leads than you should be.
Sure. I think that's so. I have a couple of questions from that. And the first one is, how important is in your process is the actual copy that you're writing or that's being wrote for the ads or for the website to get them to get their interest first and then to convert them on the page? Is it the words? Is it the letters, the color, the font that you use? How important is all of that stuff in this process?
All of it matters. Every single thing you just mentioned. So really smart that you're asking these things, because folks listening maybe don't even think about that. Like the colors, it's got to be, if it's a Facebook ad, I got to stop your scrolling from happening. I got to grab you with something, a visual element, graphic, colors. Fonts need to be easy to read. Direct response copy is something I'm a big fan of, is writing that gets people to take action. Like the too wordy paragraph text that's just like this monster piece of content to read. Like you want it punchy, you want it short, you want it easy to follow along. The content matters a whole lot. So we have a lot of copywriting training internally for the copy we write. I use really expensive consultants for the ads that we write for our clients, for our own homepage copy. I don't skimp on that stuff. That's the difference in closing a deal and bringing in a client and just wasting your money on advertising and wondering, and then assuming incorrectly that, oh, Facebook doesn't work. It's like, you know what? Your ads suck. That didn't work. It's like, I heard Gary Vaynerchuk make a funny comment at a event we were at. I'm not a big Gary V guy, but he's smart and he's obviously got a lot of good things to say. But one of the things he mentioned specifically about Facebook ads, he's like comparing it to someone that's like saying, hey, basketball sucks, or they don't like basketball because they're not good at it. And it's like, basketball, there's people making so much money. There's NBA players out there. Obviously, you're just not good at it. You can't say like the basketball sucks. You know what I mean? So he said it in a lot funnier way than I just did, but it was a good kind of way to look at something and make a judgment call when you don't have enough information and you're not really in a position to draw that conclusion. And people a lot of times jump from one shiny object to the next and like, oh, that didn't work. I tried direct mailers. I tried some Google stuff. I did some SEO, in my market, it just doesn't work. The problem usually is you didn't optimize for conversion, right? So they saw you, they clicked, they came, they looked at your direct mailer. You didn't have a good call to action. You didn't have a compelling reason for them to follow up. You only gave them a phone number. Most people don't want to just call up a salesperson. Some of them came to your site. Your site is nothing but stuff to read and an online brochure with a contact me form. Of course, they didn't fill that out. So you're judging and saying maybe the Google ads didn't work when you got clicks. People came. You just did not create the best experience to convert them. So they clicked, they left, nothing happened. And then you incorrectly assume, hey, the Google stuff just doesn't work for me in my market. There was more to it than that. And we always have to look at, where are we taking people? What's that experience like? Did I optimize that for lead conversion? Otherwise, you're going to waste a lot of money and time spinning your wheels, jumping from one thing to the next. None of it ever seems to work. And it's because your foundation is not set and ready for that kind of marketing.
Sure. I guess for like our newer investors or newer agents, when you say optimize for conversion, now that means make it the best for conversion, but what can somebody starting out on their own that's just now figuring out this digital marketing thing, what can they do to help optimize for conversion?
Great question. The most simple way I can say is buttons and links strategically placed within your content, whether it's an email blast, a blog post, social media post, a website, a landing page, whatever it might be. You want to strategically layer buttons and links into your content with good, compelling reasons for people to click. Like, hey, are you interested? Find out if you're eligible. See if you qualify. Get pre-approved. Things like that. I click on that and then it will take me to a question and answer process that starts asking me questions like, okay, cool. What kind of house are you interested in? What's your budget? What's your time frame? Asking the same questions you'd ask in real life if somebody came into my office. So I don't have to waste my first 15 minutes of conversation with you asking you those questions. I can recreate that question and answer sequence on my website using a good form that asks for that information. There's different chat bots and things like that that can do that as well. That can at least start that conversation and ask those questions. So really being smart about getting people to click where you want them to click. If I just come and I read your stuff and you're just crossing your fingers and hoping that, hey, that was really well-written content. If they're serious, they're going to call me. No, they won't. That's hope and pray marketing. They're not going to just call you. You're leaving it to chance. You got to be more strategic, be smart about it. Give people reasons to click, put those everywhere, make it really smart in terms of how you strategically weave those into your content. Once they click, you pull them into something that starts asking for information and gives them a really compelling reason to give you that information. Find out if you qualify, see if you're eligible. Great examples of this stuff you can find right on realtor.com. Anytime they tell you to get pre-qualified, get pre-approved, Zillow is absolutely loaded with this stuff. Now, don't fill it out. Heaven forbid you fill any of that stuff out. You're going to have to disconnect your cell phone. You're going to have loan officers and realtors showing up to your house. But just play with it. Don't enter your information at the end, and you can start to see what that sequence looks like, the way they position the questions, the way they kind of set that experience up. Lending Tree is another good one. Quicken Loans is a good one. You can see real life examples of these big companies that do lead gen doing this in the wild. And you can say, hey, that is something I can recreate myself. I don't need $1 million a day on marketing, but if I'm putting myself out there, if I'm doing video, if I'm doing social media content, I'm posting, I've got an email newsletter, I got to be really smart and strategic with making sure I say something like, hey, link in the description. If you want to find houses that meet your criteria in your area, right within your budget, there's a link in the description. I'm going to ask you a couple really easy questions. You can do it right on your mobile device, but it's going to kickstart the process and you'll get access to exclusive homes that meet your exact criteria in your area. I deliver that to you instantly. Click below to get started now. Something like that. Now you've driven someone to that call to action. You told them where to look, you told them where to go, and you gave them something that's really fun and engaging to work with, where now you can get the information you need to create a relationship with that person.
That's great. What I'm going to do is cut out this video, and I'm going to post it all over Melissa's Melissa's lead gen sites with your spiel right there, because I think that you make some really great points. I think there's a lot of things that directly correlate from the conversations we're having right now to new investors, and I think that as the laws and stuff change for the other forms of marketing, the digital marketing is becoming more and more relevant. Well, it has been relevant for a long time, but I feel like a lot of times in the real estate industry, we're a little bit set back or kind of in the Stone Age compared to any of these other digital, like, Quicken Loans or Zillow. They're internet companies, right? And they're on the leading edge of a lot of this kind of marketing and stuff. And the small guys don't catch up quite as fast usually. And I think if our listeners can implement some of this stuff in just their Facebook ads and their other forms of their email marketing and that kind of stuff, that they'll start to see some better results than what they're getting maybe in other places. But let's say that we had somebody who was interested in either hearing more about what you guys have to offer, hearing more about your business, or maybe just want to connect with you. Where do you think we should send them so that they can gain some more of that knowledge?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Best place, I'm always going to drive them with my own call to action back to our website, leadpops.com. We practice what we preach. So that exact thing I said you should be doing, we do on our website. We'll ask you questions. We'll create a really easy experience for you to provide us with some real basic information. If you're interested in talking to us, helps kickstart the conversation. It connects you to my team. I've got a really great team of advisors who will do what's called a digital marketing assessment. We'll talk to you about different ways that we can help you. We'll give you a scorecard. People get a lot of value just from that conversation. It's not your typical sales pitch. And if it's a good fit for what you're doing or looking for, of course, we'll ask you to sign up. If not, you walk away with a lot of great information. So it's leadpops.com. You can request a demo there. And then if you're interested in I described some of these lead forms and like, oh, what's that question and answer process? How do I even put that together? That's what we do. They're templated. They're ready to rock. You can launch a free trial right off leadpops.com. You could play with them today. You could start plugging them into your marketing today and start generating leads. It's no joke. They're ready to go right out of the box. You can test drive it, see if it works, or you can talk to my team. Either way, we welcome you, leadpops.com.
Awesome, Andrew. Well, I really appreciate you coming on the show today. I think that you're a wealth of knowledge, and I almost am hesitant to post this out so everybody else sees it, right? Because there's a lot of good information there, but we will, and we'll push it out. Thank you so much.
JD, Melissa, thank you so much. Had a great time.
You too.
Thank you for listening to the Real Estate Jam. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. For more information, check out our website, therealestatejam.com, or find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at The Real Estate Jam. If you have any questions, feel free to drop us an email at therealestatejam@gmail.com. See you next episode.